All right. So, start with you. What do you think of Pipeline 2-player? Well, what do you think of Pipeline to begin with, and then 2-player specific?
Right. So we've already played this and streamed it, and I liked it the same as I liked it the first time. It's really hard for me to get the pipes out. So as Ryan tells me, I need to play more, so I get better at that. Which is generally how I feel about that type of abstract game. I'm notoriously bad about it. I cannot actually play Factory Fun or Factory Fun. Like, it's really bad, comically. So people will drag me into it just to laugh. But so practicing to get better at that would be good. I did not optimize. I was so concentrating on how to lay those pipes this time because I was worried about that I really didn't optimize anything else I was doing. And after the fact, I was like, oh, well, if I'd gotten that contract or I did this thing. So it's definitely one of those games that I think playing in short succession or playing more often does make it start to get easier and just makes it flow more, because you really need to remember, where those tanks are beneficial and when you're going to want to get those out, and how to optimize the moves that you're taking to push things up. It's always great when you have a tile that has the 3. I saw that tile originally and was like, okay, I'm going to get one with 3 this time, because I've played before and had to move my guy all over the place because he didn't have access to different pipes. So I was glad for that. But there's a lot of ways to optimize in this. So I think playing it a lot or more frequently definitely helps with the gameplay. As far as 2-player, I thought it was really different at 2-player than what I've experienced before.
How so?
And you saw me do this, in the past when we've played, the government tiles go away really, really quick, and then it becomes really expensive to add on tiles to make those pipes spread out. And with one of the valuations being about different pipe configurations, that's why I went for what I did in the upgrades. That's why I was trying to make sure I laid more pipe routes, because I wanted to get the valuation for that at the end, and that's why I really attacked these. But look how many are left. I've never seen that before. This usually has been gone in year 2, and we're out here struggling to find pipes to put down. So in a 2-player game, not so much. I didn't have to do that the way that I did. So yeah, so I did find it different. We weren't struggling for goods. We didn't really. You went for orange. I was more in the blue and silver. So it was definitely opened up the market and opened up the government tiles a lot.
Yeah, it seems a little bit more, and Greg and I touched on this a little bit in our review on the podcast, that it feels a little bit more open, but not wide open, because it's not so much that you're still competing against, I only have so many actions in this game. And I think it was Brian or one of the guys in chat had mentioned that the most valuable commodity in this game are actions.
Yep.
Much more so than oil. You think that oil is the most important thing in this game, but it's not. It's about making the best use of your actions, because there's such a finite amount of actions. And it's stressful. This game is not easy, because missteps can cost you huge, and there is a bit of a butterfly effect that if you do very poor planning early on, you can end up with multiple penalty cubes because you didn't plan well enough for your contracts, or you weren't able to fulfill an order before another player, and it's stressful. And that's not even talking about not wanting to be inconsiderate to your table mates, or in our case, streaming, the stress added for trying to build your pipeline. And because I struggle mightily with that. That is a huge issue that spatially, my brain just doesn't work that way real well. And so I struggle, whereas people will see things obvious, not obvious.
Well, that's why I started to do what I do, not on stream when I'm playing this game. I'll just be like, okay, I'm going to take 5, you go. Because I don't care as much about, beating everybody at the table. I'm just trying to, or showing everyone, optimal moves. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to play like I normally play.
Yeah,
and
that's what you should do. That's good.
If I took an extra tile, I took an extra tile.
Right.
It cost me $10 or $20. But that keeps the movement and momentum going, and that's how I would normally play it.
Well, what's good about some of these valuations is that you can be like, yeah, I'll scoop.
I knew that too. I had that backup of like, even if I just throw this over for a 4 or 5 run of another one, I get points for it.
Right.
So sure.
If you have the money, I always say throw the money around.
Yeah.
The actions are so necessary that paying the $10 for the extra actions, I'll almost always do it. The
Yeah.
HR.
And I didn't do that once this time.
Yeah,
I never don't do that. That was weird.
Which I thought was interesting that you guys went the whole
we did
game.
it the entire game. We didn't do a
No,
single
and I never don't
secondary
do
action,
that.
So
That's a thing I do all the time. So that was weird. That's maybe a difference in the play when you're not feeling so competitive to get to something in a 2-player. But that's an interesting difference. A lot of people are looking for 2-player games to play with, say, a significant other, or someone who doesn't like Take That. I didn't feel this was Take That-y at all.
oh, not at all.
Whereas,
Like the only moment of the entire game that I was worried
was for that
was
tile.
when you
There's
were
always
going
a
to take
tile.
your government.
You did that to me last time.
Your
I shouldn't.
government action, and your government tile, and I was like,
Don't take
God
my tile.
help you if you take that one tile.
Well, and there was one where you were looking at which one you were going to open up because you
Right.
realized I get my government one after. And
I mean, I could
I
have.
looked, honestly, I didn't care.
Right.
So at first I was like, you better go to this. And then I was like, oh, now I'm fine. I'll have enough to do what I need to do either. I don't care what you like. And
Right.
that's not how this usually plays out. Usually there's one left and you're like, ooh, ooh there, I hate you. So it felt less combative in a 2-player, which I think is an unusual thing. Usually when you're paring down a game to
It's
2-player,
more knife fighting.
it is more
Yeah.
knife fighting. So that might be interesting for people looking for 2-player games that
Yeah.
don't have that combative value, but maybe they like combative so they could play it with more to get that.
Right.
But it does have a bit of combativeness if you choose to do so.
Yeah.
You can. But if you're a couple or you have you and
Yeah.
a friend or whatever and you just choose not to, that's it. The game plays perfectly
If you know the
fine.
person you're
As
playing
you
with,
saw,
don't
we
go in
weren't-
the same,
We,
yeah.
we weren't butting heads
No,
hardly
we really
at all
weren't.
on that.
And I think when we played, I was a little aggressive into your area, but
Right, but for the most part, but it could be more if you want it to be that way, right? But the 4-player and the 3-player definitely feel tighter in this. But the other thing that I want to mention is when you and I played this 2-player, it was like a 45-minute game.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Jess and I playing longer, A, it's on stream, and B, both of us struggle with the tile laying aspect of this to where that adds time to it because we suck.
And it
at
has
spatial.
double time because then I'm like, I gotta go fast. And then I stress myself out, and
Right.
then I lose, and I'm like, ugh. So yeah.
So yeah, but whereas Greg doesn't struggle with it, so our game was quicker because only one of us was struggling with
Also,
it.
why I was glad Greg was here because I'm like, Greg.
Yeah, exactly.
Pull me out, I
that's part of it
can't
as
see it.
well.
Just look over here.
Yeah. So there you go, right? Surprised nobody picked the blue JL, right? And so that's the thing. Like that, there are things that some people will see that not everybody will. But this game, and like what Jess alluded to, if you play it often enough,
But
it
know
will
that-
help cut down on that,
That's
which
true.
is not something we're going to be able to do.
And I hate to call myself out, but I want to. I played really poorly. Like, for me, I knew after I did things, stupid. Like, there were plenty of things I knew I did wrong. And the score's not that bad. I don't feel terrible about where I came out
But during the
in
game,
this. During the game, I'm like, I hate myself. I've made so many mistakes. But I also knew I was mitigating some of it with the valuations. I'm like, well, I will get points eventually.
yeah.
They'll come to me.
Well-
I could have done so many better things. But yeah, it didn't hurt so bad that at the end of the game, I ended up with like,
We started with $40. We both ended up with more than 500.
yeah, no. And within okay.
Yeah,
I don't feel done.
I didn't know how it was going to turn out. Legitimately, I didn't know who was going to win.
I didn't think I was getting anything. I was.
I thought it was going to be close. Yeah.
Yep, and it ended up being relatively close, so no arguments there. So there you go. 2-player pipeline. Game 9. the live streaming
Yeah.
through Gen Con. So good
I did
job.
want to say one more thing.
And good
so
job.
as bad as I am about this tiling, and I know that scares a lot of people off of this game, and you have to understand, I am notorious for being just terrible at playing this, and I didn't do that poorly. Don't be afraid of that as far as this game goes. I don't think it's something that if you're just not that great at that type of tiling abstract, you should stay away from. I think you should give it a try.
There you go.
And yeah, like Ryan had said, play more, get more practice with the pipe laying part of it, and the game picks
Moves
up.
really quickly.
Yeah, yeah.
It can, for sure. Because, I mean, you saw in a 2-player, it could go, like, if you're not messing with the tile lane, in our case, my action, your action, I'm back. That's the end of a turn.
And as
right?
Yurin said, you get, and I remembered them after I played and was like, oh, those are the combos I needed, but you get more used to what you need to combo up.
Right.
And then, yeah,
Yeah.
All right.
it's great.
There we go. So, that's Pipeline. Thanks, Ryan Courtney, for chiming in while at Gen Con. That was cool. Thank you, Clay, over at Capstone, for sending us a review copy of this, and for Greg, us using his copy so we didn't have to dig ours out. Appreciate it.
Instead of thank you, I'm going to say you're welcome, Ryan, because he's been begging me to do this again on stream, 2-player with you, to show that it isn't scary even if you're really bad at the abstract tiling. So you're welcome. I did
Great.
it.
Yeah. All right. So thanks, everybody, for watching. Like and subscribe down below. Hit up pledgehc.com if you think this is worth a couple of bucks. Then we definitely would appreciate that for sure. That said, we'll be back. We're probably going to slide the afternoon stream back an hour. So be aware of that for Dark Domains, because we need time to set that up and everything else. So I don't know what time it's scheduled for, but it's going to go live at 3 o'clock as opposed to, I think, 2. So be aware of that. Other than that, yeah, we'll see y'all here in just a little while. So I enjoyed it. Did
Yeah,
you?
I did. Want to do it again?
No, because we have Dark Domains to go. So, but other than that, while it's set up, yes, I would love to. That would be cool. All right. So, and Greg, thanks for stepping in and taking over that part of it and helping us along. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no problem. I love this game.
All right.
Yeah.
So, 3 of us will be back shortly. I'm Edward.
I'm Jess.
And I'm Greg.
All right. You guys take care. We'll see y'all shortly. So, hang out. Spend the rest of Sunday at Gen Con with us. Take care, everybody.